So, Hare Krishna, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. So, today we are here from the GBC Strategic Planning Team COVID-19 channel. Here we are here with the Bhakti Theatre group. Haribol. We have Rukmini, Radha Priya, and Rasastali with us today, all the way from Durban, South Africa. So let's welcome them. And they don't just do theater, they do a lot more things. So let's hear from them. So let's start with our director, Rukmini. Would you like to tell us what is Bhakti Theatre all about?
Hare Krishna, thank you so much for having us. This is definitely a fun new experience. Bhakti Theatre is a devotional community theatre group at the Sri Radha Temple in Durban, South Africa. And it was started off by an impetus by Bhakti Swami, who looked at our dilapidated amphitheater and said, it's not being used for its right purpose, and kind of encouraged that we would have a monthly show on it. This idea kind of grew on a small team of us, including Rasastali, who is the managing director of Bhakti Theatre, and I work on the creative side. And from it, we try to engage youth to bring out all their talents and abilities on a devotional scale. It definitely took on in a way that we didn't expect, and it's really a way to showcase your abilities on a devotional stage.
That's nice. So would you like to tell us something about Rasastali?
Yes, sure. Rasastali, who is going to wave now, so we know who she is. Rasastali is the managing director of Bhakti Theatre, and definitely the force behind it. I think if it was just left up to me, I would have said like, nah. So she really was the one who was pushing forward for us to give this idea life. And she focuses on a lot of the marketing and designing and putting theatre out there for the public to see. Also composing the structure of our programs. We have like maybe 4 or 5 sessions in a year, and they're thematic. It's not only theater, it includes all different art forms, including kirtan and dance, and we've had many things that had happened on this platform. And she puts together that program. She's also managing our costume and our wardrobe, which is a big deal. There's days where it's been overnight sewing, stitching, putting together, making us look beautiful on stage. And that's really one of her talents, just like fine-tuning everything so that what goes on stage is something that can touch people's hearts. So those are some of the things she's involved in, but literally she does everything outside of the creative writing, which is also editing our scripts. And she has the experience for that because she's worked with how many years, Rasastali, with Bhakti Swami? I keep forgetting.
From 2000.
Yeah, so 20 years with Bhakti Swami when he's come to South Africa to produce dramas during our Ratha Yatra in Easter weekend. So
I just wanted to display some beautiful outfits as we were just talking about it, like different outfits. Here we actually even have Radha Priya, who is here with us today in the show. Haribol, Radha Priya. You can wait. So that's Radha Priya here. So that's her. Here we go. So, Radha Priya, so you are the actress. So you have experience being on the stage and enjoying the experience. So tell us something about the team that you work with and how does it work? How do you feel about it?
So I'm one of the many actors in Bhakti Theatre, and we have a broad range. Like we have young children, 6 years old, and we have people around my age in their early 20s, and it's a good mix of people. Bhakti Theatre is more of a family. So yes, we are actors, but we've developed relationships such deep relationships through this medium. It's like our safe space in ISKCON. That is what it is for us.
That particular picture is from a production that we did on Draupadi. And what you're seeing is the servants watching the gambling match between the Pandavas and the Kauravas. That scene was done, displayed in that angle from the viewpoint of the servants. And this is a still pic of Arjuna. Is it
Bhima.
Bhima, ripping the heart of the name escapes me. Who is the other guy?
Dushashan.
Yes, yeah, in the Draupadi.
So the interesting thing about those photos that we've just been shown, it was part of the Community Arts Festival in Durban, South Africa, and it is a government initiative. And somebody had sent us this thing that you can apply to perform in this Community Arts Festival. It's actually quite an accomplishment because it's performed at the premier venue in Durban, which was the Natal Playhouse. And they received 80 applicants. Rukmini and I just said, why not? Let's try. And we put our proposal together and we got called up. So we were really shocked about it, but it happened.
Oh, wow.
So we were working with, we are amateurs, but we were in line with professionals. And the overall director of that project, the CAF, Community Arts Festival, he actually selected us and he said he wanted to give us a chance. And he came after our performance. I don't know if you remember Rukmini or Radhapriya, because both of them were acting in that production as well. But he came to meet us and said, well done to us, which was such a accolade on our part. And they paid us.
So from what I understand, this Bhakti theater, the influence that it can create can be to a degree of preaching and you actually have that experience of being welcomed by the world outside and being recognized. And it's actually way more than just entertaining the devotees, right? It's actually also like interrelational. Let's say even with the government, you can actually have good relationships.
The thing about entertainment is that it's everybody wants to be entertained. And when you have a good story to tell, and we've got the best stories, it's a win-win situation. So people may be coming in not even for principles of devotion or bhakti, but just simply for entertainment, and they are entertained by it. Of course, Rukmini is just a brilliant weaver of writing. I think Radhapriya can vouch for that, how she threads things together.
What I would also like to add is, specifically in that production, what we had to really look at is to how to make our stories from the Shastra relevant to the audience, especially in community theater. And so one of the reasons why that particular play worked for us on that forum was because it brought up these themes of empowerment for women, Draupadi's role, Draupadi as a Kshatriya, Draupadi, also the challenges that women face, Draupadi in the gambling match, etc. It brought out the themes of forgiveness, which is a human quality. So I really feel like if we can take the Shastra and these stories and sift out these themes that the whole world can relate to and present it on the stage in an entertaining way, we are relevant to society.
In fact, Rukmini, there's a message thanking you for your efforts. This is Shaktiavesh Avatar Das. He wants to thank Rukmini for the inspiration given. And this is a drama that they've approached in Moscow at the big festival, and that video has apparently gone viral. And
Oh,
this is
wow.
the link for those of you who want to see it. Any chance to show it to her team is a matter of sharing inspiration back, and also curious to know how we can improve. It's wonderful.
We definitely will share that with our group and have a look at it. Thank you so much, Shakti Avesh, Avatar.
Yeah. What are the principles you would say that you apply at Bhakti Theatre that makes it so relevant for everybody?
I was thinking about this, and I was thinking that, bhakti is a process that involves the heart, and that we want to feel. And sometimes on the devotional path, we imbibe all this philosophy, but the need to feel and experience is very strong. And when we don't find it fully on in the devotional line, then people start looking and aspiring devotees start looking on the material line. So by providing theater, we're able to get our audience, whether devotees or non-devotees, to experience the Shastra and to, in some sense, not in a sahaja way, but in some sense, connect with the emotion and the personalities. And that's in terms of the audience. But our actors also, you undergo a deep transformation when you have to go on stage and portray a person, a spiritual person. You have to connect with them. Like right here, you're seeing Draupadi and Krishna. And this Draupadi is played by Girisha. And she is also one of our actors that imbibes this sort of acting where you have to really deeply meditate on the character and in true form be empowered by them to present. So you get this beautiful opportunity as an actor and as the audience to connect on an emotional level, which feeds our bhakti.
That's wonderful. And what I would like especially Rasastali to share, what are the challenges that you face? Coming to the dramatic picture here, we're seeing a challenge there. What are some of the challenges that you face in running such a, let's say, big project with such a vision? You see, your work has influenced all the way in Russia, and they're taking that inspiration and making videos viral. So you never know what seed you put where and where it can sprout and what kind of inspiration it can become for the whole organization and the world in general. So tell us, share with us some challenges that you face.
So just to start off, I think that it's important to know that mention that we've been very fortunate because we've got our higher authorities are extremely supportive of what we're doing. And I think that's one of the important factors in a success of a project like this. We didn't actually start off big. We started off very small with very little resources, and we grew from there. And I think that part of the success is managing it well. That means being consistent, not backing down when things get difficult. And difficulty is getting people to commit, maybe getting more support from the community. I know we performed once. It was Rukmini, was it Golden Avatar? It was the Lord Chaitanya. Sorry?
Are you talking about the one in the rain?
No, I'm talking about the one with Indajumna Swami and Kadambakana Swami. They attended.
Chaitanya Yuga.
We did this drama, Chaitanya Yuga, and Indajumna Swami's feedback was he felt that we needed to have more support from our community. He felt that more devotees should be attending it. And I think that's one of the challenges that we face. But how we deal with it is that we just have to, we consult, we pray, and we put our best foot forward. So yeah, I mean, what can you do? And I think you got to be very wise with money, because we definitely we could not maintain this program without being very frugal with money. When Rukmini comes in with her crazy ideas, and there's Radha Priya laughing, and she's like, "I want this," and I'm like, "No." So yeah.
And I want to
I
ask
wanted a pumpkin carriage. I wanted a pumpkin carriage, and then that didn't fly.
I thought you wanted a baby fire dragon. Oh, I have been to Durban, South Africa, and I can tell you the ability to manifest creativity among this youth and bring out that energy. It's awesome. Actually, I have a or you have a curiosity. When you engage youth into your team, do you have some kind of qualification in the sense, do you want the youth to be chanting 16 rounds or perhaps following regulatory principles? How do you do the selection basis?
Rukmini, maybe all of us should answer, but I just want to quickly say that there is no criteria to join Bhakti Theatre. There is no requirement. Bhakti Theatre, we pride ourselves in creating a safe space and a space of non-judgment. And that is our guiding principle. Everybody knows on our team that I'm extremely strict with them, but I'm strict in terms of being on time, not keeping your team waiting, not drinking fizzy drinks, that kind of thing. But when it comes to what they need to be, they just need to be there and willing. One drama takes a minimum of 35 hours of rehearsal time, and that's a huge commitment. I don't think a lot of people can make that kind of commitment, adults even. So the fact that a child is willing to do that, or a young person is willing to do that, that's enough. And from that dynamic experience of engaging in that way, they naturally become more and more devotional. A couple of weeks ago, I was speaking to one of the parents. Her daughter's in grade 12 this year. And she told me that her child chose to become vegetarian from joining Bhakti Theatre. So it's not about come like this. Come as you are, and we will love you and accept you and nurture you.
That's awesome. We have a Kavesh asking a very interesting question relevant to what you're just speaking right now, Rasasali. How do you inspire participants to do their best? I find within the congregational members participating in the dramas that they never take it seriously because it is all volunteer work and they don't take it seriously. I've tried to explain to them that it is direct savor to the Lord. So you would want it to be of the utmost quality, but the passion and drive just doesn't manifest. How do you inspire people to do their best? I guess the question can be answered by Rasasali, Rukmini, and especially Radha Priya. What makes you feel inspired? What keeps you going? It would be really interesting to know the perspective of how you taken care that you are so inspired to perform and be giving your heart into it and be well known for being a really great actress. And how does it? Because I'm sure it's the encouragement, right? I'd like to hear from all of you this to answer Kavesh Kumar's question. Should we start with Radha Priya? Yeah.
Okay. See, I've been born into a devotee family, but it was only until I joined Bhakti Theatre that I felt a real sense of belonging. And I felt that I developed so much more in my Krishna consciousness, and I became more determined and serious. And part of it is because of the cultivating relationships that we have, but the dramas itself, the scripts, it forces you to go perhaps pick up Srimad Bhagavatam and read about a particular pastime, or listen to a lecture where there's different analogies and stuff. But what really keeps us going is the constant encouragement from our mentors. Like Rasistali and Rukmini, yes, they are our mentors, but they are also our friends. They are able to communicate with us on on our level. They come down to our level for us. They don't make you feel that, oh, okay, I'm just going to tell you to do this or that. It's more like, I'm going to push you to your limits because I know the potential you have. And it's that level of care. There's this one story I'd like to share. I don't live near Radharadhanath temple. So when rehearsals go on, I usually I stay over for that period of time. And once there was a bit of an accommodation issue, and Rukmini um, gave us her room for the entire week. My friend Marsha and I, we just completely made ourselves feel at home because she was so giving to us. And for me, that was so deep, because it's not just a relationship where, okay, we're interacting together, we're actors, that's it. It extends beyond the stage. It's meaningful, and I think that's what keeps all of us going.
That's such a wonderful sharing, Radhapriya. And so, from what I could understand in what you're saying, it's not just about inspiring people to perform, but it's just inspiring people or devotees to be comfortable and safe and taking care of them in general. That makes people inspired and happy, and you feel convinced that they care for you and not just about your performance.
Absolutely.
That's a very deep principle. Thank you so much for sharing that. And Rukmini, would you like to say something about this point?
Yeah, I just feel like because none of us have any, I mean, I don't have any professional experience. It's really been a learning curve. But one thing we didn't struggle with is inspiring people. Somehow, Krishna, it just happened on its own. It's not because of like who we are, we did something wonderful, but because when you put these young people together, they connected with themselves. So there were friendships, deep friendships happening with the actors. And initially, especially, they came for that. They came because they were going to hang out with their buddies for 5 days, for 8 hours a day, and chill in the amphitheater whilst engaging in drama. So like, yeah, because one point I wanted to make on what is our pre-requirements for people. There's no pre-requirements, whether they have doing any sort of stuff, anything, or they have any commitment even to ISKCON. We've had a sound guy who's Christian who just wanted to do some volunteer work. But when they are here, we keep it clean. They know we have our sort of protocol in inverted commas, so that they know that it's a clean space, and we keep our interactions clean. So that also helps to keep the energy up. And to inspire people, let them connect with the characters. Let them connect how they want to connect. Make it something that they can connect to, and let them grow. Maybe give something that I am learning to do also is give them a chance to take the character and do what they want to do with it. If you have someone who can dance, Radhapriya can dance, give them the opportunity to use that. And for me, my words is my art tool. But for other people, motion is and rhythm is, and I suck at that. Sorry, maybe that's not a good word to use on the TBC page, but like I'm not very good at that. But other people in the team can. So let them have ownership of a certain part of it, and that really helps inspire them. That's what I would say.
Very inspiring. Thank you so much. Rasistani, would you like to add something from your side?
I think that talking about inspiration, we also invest in continual connection. Like Rukmini was saying, we do maybe 4 or 5 shows in a year. And then there's those blank times. And then because a lot of our people are young, they're either busy with school or university. So that connection time, that time can be a bit far between. So we would arrange something like a Bhakti Theatre family day and arrange for us to come together outside of the temple. We would go for walks or, just play some sport or just spend some time together where, everybody's just creating some connection. Even during lockdown, we at the beginning, we did some online classes on sharpening your martial arts weapon wielding skills. And we also did some makeup tutorials. Currently, now we are doing some quality time with Bhakti Mark Swami. We're all writing poetry, and we've met twice before. We're meeting again in 2 weeks' time. So there's that constant maintenance and nurturing that needs to happen to keep people connected. So it's not just at that time.
My mic is off. Okay. I said very relevant points. Thank you very much. So we'll do something dramatic here. We'll do a little recitation. Rasa Sali, would you like to say something?
She was muted, Radha Priya.
Yeah, yeah, now she's on. So we would like to invite Radha Priya to give us a little glimpse of color and the story to come alive through her own presence. And she's going to give us a few minutes of performance on her dialogue from one of her shows from the Draupadi Theatre. Am I right?
Yes. This is the dialogue of Draupadi. One of our co-actors, Girisha, played this role, and it's the final lines, and it really ties up everything together. So here goes. I'm just going to read it out. Devotional service is not a balance sheet. This realm brings joy and pain. But in bhakti, we are promised neither eternally. Through suffering and celebration, we have only one recourse. Your calculations are in error, my lady. For without both the 5 centimeter of cotton and the 500 acres of sari, without my 5 dead sons, would my heart have ever softened to know even 5 seconds of forgiveness? The weight of Krishna's supreme love defies all scales. So this is a very important lesson for everyone here. And this is one of my favorite dialogues because we're always told how we should love Krishna, but we often forget that Krishna loves us back too. And it's just powerful. Hope you guys like that.
Sri Radha, you are muted again.
Excellent, thank you. So we have some appreciations from our Facebook audience. So we also have gratitude and more questions from Kavesh about how you manage everything and there's a lot of, I mean, it's very inspiring. It's very touching. It's a connection. As Radha Priya was saying earlier, it's being a devotee. It's not just about performing arts, but it's actually about how to be a devotee. So that's what I'm learning from this interview here today. So I'm very grateful. So actually, Kavesh's question, Kavesh, let me just put up his question. He's so essentially it is all revolving around genuine care for each other and developing personal relationships. Absolutely. On a separate note, how are temples across the world planning to hold cultural events in a COVID environment? I guess that's not really for the interview, but the next part, cultural events attract people at a location for a certain duration, but most temples would currently want people to come and go to maximize moment to comply with local regulations. Are there any innovative ways to still doing cultural programs, or they are just on hold until, I guess, until the lockdown is done? So you have any ideas?
Yes, I just want to say Rukmini and Radha Priya are muted, but at our last meeting,
it seems Radha Priya muted herself, so she would have to turn it on.
We were talking about what we're going to do with the upcoming festivals. We would have ordinarily had a show in July, and then we would perform at Janamashtami and Radhastami. What we would have done at July, we would have performed 2 dramas, and then one of those dramas would be performed at Janamashtami, and then the second one would be performed at Radhastami. But now that has fallen away because we cannot get together. But we were talking about maybe doing something and recording it and then releasing it on that day. And then individuals, everybody would have a line, do their line, and we'll get one of our people in our team, a video edit, to put it together to spin it beautifully and attach it to music and put that out. But I don't think there's going to be anything physical that we can do.
But that's quite innovative in itself. That's a very creative and technologically compatible idea. Rukmini, you have any other suggestions on how to?
Yeah, I think, and even if you work with smaller, because kind of there's this disease which I sometimes have also of thinking of bigger scale productions, but even if you do smaller events, or small, even if it's a 2-3 minute clip, you can even do that in your own home, just record it, putting it out on Facebook so other people can see it. So it's also a preaching endeavor and not just for the devotees. So small things like that individuals can do, small challenges, to dress up in certain characters and say certain soliloquies. So there's definitely room to do something. For us, mainly in this time, we've been working on grooming our group of actors in terms of like their skills and in terms of their writing abilities with Bhakti Mark Swami. But I think the opportunities are actually endless. In some way, we can make it work.
Mm-hmm. So actually, it was very inspiring to hear about when Rasastali was speaking about this outreach, especially the government giving you this opportunity. So can you tell us more highlights about your preaching from the Bhakti Theatre? Highlights about different preaching opportunities that you're able to get to through Bhakti Theatre.
So, Radha Govinda, we did apply again for CAF, that's Community Arts Festival, and we were unsuccessful. We were successful in 2018. In 2019, we weren't successful. The thing is that, ultimately our agenda is to share devotional principles, Vedic culture, stories from Srimad Bhagavatam. And of course, we had, like in Draupadi, we had relevance for today. But sometimes when you're working with government, it depends which government you're working with. If they're looking at a particular agenda that they want to put through. And I think maybe in 2019, they were looking for a particular type of topic, which we didn't necessarily meet their criteria. And this year, I guess we're not having a CAF. And with the way things are going, there's not going to be much room for doing something outside. Honestly, Bhakti Theatre is not big enough to hold shows outside of the temple. We don't have to pay for our venue and things like that. But we are looking at it. It's not that it's totally out of the question, but we are looking at it, and we are advertising in businesses outside of the temple. So we're doing it slowly but surely, but we have to do it in a sustainable way. Not that when we do something and then, all our resources is lost in that one project. We have to do it intelligently.
Yeah, that's actually very practical advice, that to kind of understand your own limitations and grow according to your capacity and not to overdo things. That's actually a very good tip. Actually, we have a question relevant to that. Maybe Rukmini and Rasastali could answer that. Is there a good repository of simple drama scripts, or do you create them based on your readings of the scripture?
Rukmini?
One thing I just wanted to say in response to that, some ways that we could use theatre for outreach is like one thing that we've done is that sometimes we have retreats at the temple where students come and stay for a period of time. And on one or two occasions, Bhakti Theatre performed for them. And it was amazing what we tried to achieve in 3 days of special keynote lectures. And like they watch one drama and they're like, oh, it makes sense. Krishna's God. I'm like, how did that happen? Like, so there's small ways that you can do it. Sometimes we've taken a small group of actors to an interfaith program and did a quick impromptu script. So I think if you're looking for opportunities, there are ways. About the scripts, a repository of scripts, there probably is. I've seen some on Database, and some people put their scripts out there to be used. I just personally, I find it hard to work with a script that I didn't write. It's probably my false ego, but like it's just difficult for me. So I would really encourage that you read the scripture and that you create the script that you want to put forward. And I don't think, and it's really important when you're doing that to stay true to the Shastra, but it doesn't mean that you can't add your creativity. It's a very fine line. And I have been on either sides of that line and felt the ramifications of it. But that means that you are now invested in the script, very much so. And it's much easier then to convey that to your actors. So I'd say don't be afraid of just taking it and writing it yourself so you feel it when it goes out there.
And what would be your advice for somebody who wants to do this kind of Bhakti Theatre project, besides the script itself, as an overall organization? What would be your tip if they want to do something like this?
That's a Rasastali question.
Okay.
Okay, so just about the script writing, I think Rukmini didn't mention how she prays to Krishna and cries for an idea, and it's a very big part of it. And I think Radha Priya, just to reiterate that how important that prayer is. Radha Priya, maybe you can tell them about Radha Dasi and when we opened the curtain and Radharani's costume and we matched Radharani.
Yes. So this was, I think, 3 years back on Radhastami. And I actually didn't perform in Radha Dasi. I was in another play. But there was the gopis who were totally different and not what you would expect, dressed in Spanish outfits. And the darshan, the evening darshan of that day was Radharani in a complete Spanish outfit. And it was like, oh my word, Krishna, like, it was like, it was complete, we were completely bewildered, to say the least. Krishna empowers everybody.
Yeah. Thank you, Radhapriya. That was it was just something really worth it to watch. If there was ever a time, I think we as a team felt that the Lord is empowering us and He's actually carrying us. It was, I think, that experience, Rukmini, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, it was quite something. I have to say that in my limited experience and with different types of services, you always feel Krishna's hand in a service. But it's really, and I always had the feeling like I'd feel his hand in outreach and in university projects and in book distribution. But I have to say, I've never felt his hand in anything as much as I've done drama. And initially, it was not like my go to place or not something that I envisioned I would do. But definitely, Krishna's hand in the magic of theater and making his pastimes come to life is phenomenal. And it happens every time. Every time we have to take to a stage. So seeing that is really, really nice. Yeah, and I guess Radha Dasya, which was a play that was emphasizing our position as servants of Srimati Radharani, was one of the first times where we really felt that for a number of different reasons. But it was, yeah, it was amazing.
Forgive me, I've completely forgotten the other question.
What do you mean? The question you mean about the script, or you mean the question about what tips you have?
Well, I forgot the question. So there was a question
What would you advise for somebody who wants to do like Bhakti theater type of a project? That was the question.
Start small. Start with what you have. Don't be ambitious like Rukmini and I originally. We thought, let's put on a show every month. And then we realized no. So just start small. Start with people who are willing to make that commitment. As Rukmini said, even if it's just 2 or 3 people, I think that rather work on the quality of your production as opposed to the quantity. Even with a smaller cast, when you produce a high quality production, that impresses people, that will attract more people, it will attract more investment. So the quality of the drama needs to be there, and so just start with what you have, and be sharp about how you manage it in terms of because drama always costs a lot of money. So I would say be very careful about how you spend your money. Directors always ask you for very fancy things. So and if you happen to be the director and the person with the money, then you would know for yourself what you can and cannot do. But if you're managing it, then try to fulfill what the director wants, and at the same time be wise about it. If you're looking at starting a consistent theater, then I would say invest primarily in things that you can use again. Do not do the one-use things. That's just money down the drain.
Excellent advice. I like that. But I would like to know, I'm curious to know, how did you all start the Bhakti Theatre? Tell me the story. The secret behind this empowerment. The empowerment story must be something interesting, the way Rukmini is reacting to this question.
I think
I'll say part of it and you can say part of it, Rooks.
Okay,
cool. So it was just after Rath Yatra, and Bhakti Mark Swami leaves Durban the very next morning. So we were going to the airport, and Rukmini was there, and she was like, "Oh, Rasasali, I didn't get to spend time with Maharaj." She said, "Just come with us." I grabbed her and I put her into the car with us. And then Maharaj starts speaking. Rukmini, you can carry on.
And I remember I had that he was going and he to the airport, and then he mentioned, like, that this amphitheater that we have is not being put to use, and that we should use it for what a theater is meant to have, drama. And I was thinking like, yes, Marge, but this is not practical, Marge. I don't have time for this, Marge. I don't know how I'm going to do this, Marge. So I was being polite, to be honest. But we were left with this instruction. So after he flew away, we were just like, oh my God, I guess we got to do something. There was an axe in our head. I initially got involved because of my own motivation. My services were involving university preaching, and at that point funding it was a challenge. And so I thought that I would get involved in Bhakti Theatre, running the cafe, which is one of the things that we do, because you want to bring your family, and families want to watch theater, and then they don't want to go home and cook, so you have a cafe running. They can get some snacks, some popcorn and things. So we were going to run the cafe, and the funds for that would support university preaching. So that was my motivation. It ended up something that I totally didn't expect. But yeah, I think that's what happens when you take a leap of faith in devotional service.
That's beautiful. I like the story. I was curious, to know how it all started. So it doesn't have to necessarily be the same story, right? Different people can actually be pushed into it in different ways. And as I can see, you see I think Rukmini, you came here for Mayapur ILS and you did a presentation on it, and people took it and they went back to their countries. They put it into practice and they're seeing results. So that's the nature of how things can start. Somebody can start in the ILS seminar, and for someone else, like started for you. We actually are having nice comments and nice participation today. We have Gandhari Dasi. She says, Haribo Rasastali at Bhakti Theatre. She's excited to see you there. And we also have, hi everyone, it's Sanjana, Maithili Hridayal. So that's for you, Rukmini. And we have Maithili also saying, Bhakti Theatre is awesome. It's out of this world. I agree. And I think we all do. It is awesome. And actually, to share my own personal experience, when I was in Durban, we went to Johannesburg. You remember, Rukmini, I was joining your team of Sankirtan girls. It was so awesome, all the young girls, and full of enthusiasm, determination to want to distribute books. So my experience was traveling with these Durban Sankirtan girls. I don't know, you have is it like Bhakti Yoga Society Sankirtan? What's the name of the... Yeah.
It's Janava Dasi's. At that point, Bhakti Theatre wasn't in existence, but we had started some small dramas before. Yeah.
That's actually interesting. So that was the seed for what I saw. We would go to these different little programs, and there would be dozens of people in the program. One program, I remember we had about 50, 60 people. The room was full, so crowded. We had all these girls come up right in the front and perform Bhagavad Gita drama. It was fantastic. And now I'm surprised that there wasn't even Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti Theatre was not even existing officially. And you see, that's the beginning. Everything has to start from somewhere. You don't have to have an official name, but you start it. And then after the performance, after the drama, everybody would go out and distribute books. That's the way Sankirtan. And I think that particular year that I visited, the girls sold out all the books that they brought. Am I right, Rukmini?
Yeah, it was a show that year. It was a group of us, like 5 or 6 of us in traveling Sankirtan. And we were crazy enough not to take so much books with us that if you wanted your feet to touch the bottom of the car, you needed to distribute them. Because so we sat cross-legged in the back.
I remember something like that, yeah.
It was crazy. It was our first experience of books, like traveling Sankirtan. And also because there was rife competition between the girls and boys team at the temple that year. So we were trying to pull in all our resources, and during the day the girls would go out and there's sun and rain and da, da, da. So in the evenings we would just book spots in different places where they would want us to perform a theater, and that
Oh,
particular
wow.
drama was hip hop Gita. So it was Bhagavad Gita with a twist. It was Krishna presenting it in rap, and people really related to it. And you know, one interesting thing about that drama is that although it was, wow, how many years ago now, Shri? Maybe more than 8, I would say. You know, I think about 7 or 8 years ago, or a little
Five,
bit
yeah,
more, five,
four,
6 years.
5, 6, yeah.
And one of the days, one of the girls who was in that drama early this year walked in and was just rattling off these verses of the Gita in hip hop style. And I know this devotee, you know, she probably doesn't know Bhagavad Gita verses, or maybe won't take so much time to open up a Bhagavad Gita, but she knew those lines in and
Wow. Wow.
out. So yeah, hip hop Gita was like a short 15. It's a good example of a short and minimalist production, black on black costume, which means black pants, black tops.
Yeah, I
Uh,
remember that.
you know, so it's like they would do a whole day of book distribution and then just get geared up and perform. And I remember we distributed 500 Bhagavad Gitas that year, which for like a small country in Africa is quite something. It was really fun.
Actually, that for me is emphasizing one important principle. Sometimes there is this misconception, maybe you also face that, oh, why, what are you doing drama? Why don't you do something more productive? But it seems like what you just shared and all what Rasasali was sharing about the impact and the influence that it can have in the world, just, that the creative expression of Krishna consciousness it can be so touching, it can be so moving, and it can make people into better devotees. As also Radha Priya shared, how until Bhakti Theatre, for her, Krishna consciousness, application of Krishna consciousness, experience of Krishna consciousness was not as colorful. So it seems like the Bhakti Theatre, it's a big principle to carry home today in this interview, that it's a lifestyle. It's not just performing the drama. It's actually the whole imbibing of Krishna consciousness in a creative way that can touch hearts, that can move hearts, that can make devotees, that can help people go out and distribute books and share Krishna consciousness. So that's very powerful, and it can remove that misconception.
Yeah, I definitely agree that when you reach people's hearts, you know, that's where you effect change. And that's what theater is meant to do, you know. What are the use of the words of a person if it doesn't make your head spin? You know, that's one of the verses speak like that. Or if the arrow of a huntsman, you know, doesn't do that. So yeah, definitely that's its effect.
What's your plan in general? I'm asking all of you, what's your plan for the Bhakti Theatre for the upcoming years? Do you all plan to be involved? Radha Priya, I know you're busy studying, and you all have your own lives on the side, but then you also carry this message and this mission. What's your plan? Besides, of course, like Rukmini, touching other countries and bringing this art form and this science and this art of doing this Bhakti theater to other devotees, other communities, what's your personal vision and dream? Radha Priya, what's your dream for? How would you share your dream with?
It's funny because there's no age limit, and I do see myself acting for as long as I can, because it is what really grounds me. So maybe 20 years from now, when I'm 40 or so, I still want to be acting, perhaps writing or doing something like a poetry recital, or as long as I'm involved in some way, I think it would be great. But yeah.
Rukmini, what's your dream?
I think my dream is like, my dream is to also making this project sustainable in terms of human resources is a challenge. We ask for a lot. To ask for someone to give 35, 35 hours, okay, but we go up to 72 sometimes, and it's a lot of energy for like 30 minutes. And it seems like, wow. But so my dream is that we have the people who are inspired, and we do have that, the people who are inspired in heart to take it forward, such that we can use it more in outreach. That is my dream, that we can really, that these devotees who've been groomed in Bhakti Theatre can now take on the reins, write, direct, script, and they are doing that, but more so choreograph, such that people who can connect to Krishna, like on the basic outreach level, from their performances. Yeah, I think that's my dream.
Wonderful. So inspiring. Okay, would you like to share anything else for our viewers today, your audience, your realizations? And how do you feel doing this interview? I'm sure the time is so short and you're not able to share everything you can, because I was visualizing you doing like a seminar, like a webinar on how do you write scripts. You could be teaching how to act. You could be having webinars on training. I was just thinking as you were explaining each area of managing this mission and this project.
I would say, if you're getting into devotional theater, be prepared for your life to change. I think that would be my parting shot.
I like that. I like that. So thank you so much for being here with us today. And thank you for all our audience who participated and given us appreciation of, see, this is one of our appreciations. This is so amazing. Prabhupada's mission is being propagated in so many innovative ways. Best wishes to the team. So best wishes to Bhakti Theatre. And so we thank you very much from the GBC Strategic Planning team for being on the interview today. And although you're busy, you made it here. And I'm sure this interview can inspire many devotees to get in touch with their creative side and let that fire dragon out of their hearts. I keep saying fire dragon because both Rasasali and Rukmini have this reputation of being on fire when they are doing these tasks. And I'm sure Radha Priya is remembering all the memories of seeing the big dragon and the small dragon coming out with fire on the rehearsals. So that's why I keep bringing up the fire dragon. So may that fire dragon in your heart, who's waiting to spread Krishna consciousness in innovative and creative ways, be let free after this interview. So thank you very much, Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Shri. Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Very well.